He will kill all e-vehicles and e-vehicle legislation seeking to replace best development proposals, and he will prioritize moving young families to these freedom cities.
Yay, I want a freedom city. Is Nashville going to be a freedom city? Hell yeah, man. I don't know. I still don't want to vote, but at the same time, like, all this sounds pretty good. I don't really like the increase the immunity for cops, though. That one doesn't really apply where I'm at. Honestly, I think cops in this area need a little bit more than a slap on the wrist, if you ask me. And that's just due from corruption I can prove. You know, different stories I can think of. We had some different local police department corruption here recently that was in the news. It's actually kind of gross to read, honestly, but it just highlights that we shouldn't be giving extra immunity to officials, especially whenever we can prove that the DOJ is very corrupt at this point, even whenever it comes to Trump. And this is what makes me curious on whether or not we can even trust Trump, because he says he's going to go after certain people, but he also wants to strengthen the system at the same time, which might make it harder to go after the right people or the corrupted officials later on. And see, that's what I'm thinking about as the long-term game. A lot of people don't think beyond the next 4 or 5 years half the time.
He will kill all e-vehicles and e-vehicle legislation, seeking to replace that with the development of a flying car. He believes that we could create a car that vertically takes off. He will remove all of the limits on American natural gas exports and drill baby drill for oil domestically. He will impose a tariff of up to 60% on Chinese imports. He will extend the 2017 tax cuts and drop the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15%. He will push Congress to pass legislation that would give every American the right to concealed carry anywhere at any time. And he will revoke any gun restrictions or legislation that seeks to inhibit people's ability to own guns that's been passed in the last several years. He will demand that Europe pay back all the money we gave Ukraine, and then he will use all of that money to recruit for the American military. And he will take billions and billions of dollars from private university endowments by taxing, fining, and suing the universities. He specifically names Harvard in this one. And then he will use that money to create the American Academy. It is a free online college that will be free of wokeness that he will force employers to recognize as a bachelor's degree equivalent.
Nice.
So that's Agenda 47.
So what do you say, an online college?
Recruit for the American military. And he will take billions and billions, and then he will use all of that money to own guns that's been passed in the last several years. He will demand that Europe pay back all the money we gave Ukraine,
Nice.
and then he will use all of that money to recruit for the American military. And he will take billions and billions of dollars from private universities.
Why would he use that money to recruit for the military? See, this is what I'm talking about. It's stuff like this. It's like how they recently are trying to get women on with the selective service, the draft. Also automatically signing up certain age groups into the draft. I mean, it's all very strange, and it's all going to be due about the time that Trump becomes president. So just keep that in mind going into next year. I mean, next year we'll definitely be able to see whose side Trump is on, but hopefully it's not one of the situations where it's already too late. But it looks like he's going to be pushing for the National Guard in different woke cities. That's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be one big roundup of illegals. And he's going after the universities, too. This is what I liked about what she said at the end here.
University endowments by taxing, fining, and suing the universities. He specifically names Harvard in this one. And then he will use that money to create the American Academy. It is a free online college that will be free of wokeness that he will force employers to recognize as a bachelor's degree equivalent. So that's Agenda 47.
I mean, it sounds mostly good. I applaud most of it, but yeah, I still think we need to um, keep our eye on Trump, even though he tends to be on the people's side. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully, um, questioning him more will just be common sense that you do towards any person. Because we all have that ability. Anyways, how much time has passed? 20 minutes. Let's do one more story and let's get into this game. Trump denies ties to controversial Project 2025. Which is strange because I think Bannon is tied to the Project 2025. At least that's what he talked about on his show. I don't really watch Bannon that much, but I have at least seen that much from him lately. Donald Trump has been linked to Project 2025, a radical blueprint for his potential second term. Despite his denials of involvement, the project, spearheaded by the right-wing Heritage Foundation, has been criticized for its implications for the future of America. Various users and organizations, including the Lincoln Project, have highlighted Trump's connections to the project and urged voters to understand its potential consequences. Trump's denial of involvement has been met with skepticism and criticism, with many pointing out his connections to key figures involved in Project 2025. See, I mean, I just said that. I believe Bannon has a big connection to. Okay, here we go. From the Midas touch, I think that's how you said that, or Midas. In typical Trump fashion, he stole all ideas of Project 2025 and put his name on it. From MSNBC. Dismantled the administrative state, dismantled the deep state, reforming DOJ and its culture. This must include the FBI, overhaul the Federal Department of Justice and FBI, abolish newly established diversity, equity, and inclusion offices, removing all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats, restore America's energy independence, making America energy independent again. Four-minute video to show the damage 4 more years of Trump will do. So the Lincoln Project, that's I guess that's a woke. Cannot escape the responsibility tomorrow by evading it today. That's not the same thing as the 1619 project, right? Pretty sure that's separate. Biden out, Harris in the spotlight. There's a growing discussion about the possibility of replacing President Joe Biden on the Democratic ticket, with the Vice President Kamala Harris being considered as the leading candidate. Some believe that Harris will be a stronger candidate against Donald Trump, while others express concerns about her ability to win the election. The conversation also touches on the potential implications of Biden stepping aside and the need for a smooth transition of leadership within the Democratic Party. From Andrew Desiderio. I have no idea how to say that. Well, send Patty Murray, D. Washington, a member of Dem leadership and President Pro Tem, says Biden. What? Must seriously consider the best way to preserve his incredible legacy and secure it for the future. I'm just reading it word by word, guys. I'm just like, what? Pro Tem? Pro Team? I don't know. So from Senator Murray, more than a week ago, since the debate, and after talking with my constituents, I believe President Biden must do more to discriminate he can campaign strong enough to beat Donald Trump. There is such a case to be prosecuted against Donald Trump. President Biden has to lead the charge in making that case. With so much at stake, the American people need to understand what a serious threat a second Trump presidency would be to our democracy, our fundamental freedoms, and their livelihoods. Just as important, our nominee must be able to articulate what Democrats have accomplished and everything we will do to make life better for American families and protect their freedoms, like making child care affordable and accessible for parents everywhere and restoring abortion rights for women in all 50 states. I'm surprised there's not more Ukraine news or just World War III news right now. It seems kind of quiet. I'm used to reading something from Zelensky. Israeli troops shoot at will in Gaza. There's also a story about how well, I guess I won't actually get into it right now. It had to do with Israel, though. I'll at least tell you that. But it's about October 7th and how they killed their own people, either by mistake or intentionally. I think they were actually Jewish, too. Israeli airstrikes target Iranian arms in Syria. Okay, here's more Israel stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get this game started in the background, though. It doesn't take too long. Why do my notifications come up? On July 8th, Israeli airstrikes targeted a suspected Iranian weapons shipment near the Syrian port of Latakia, aiming to disrupt the transfer of weapons to Hezbollah. The operation reportedly killed an Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps advisor and targeted an air defense system in Benias near a Russian naval base. The strikes come amid heightened regional tensions and follow reports of increased Iranian military activity in Syria. Hezbollah has been launching attacks on Israeli targets, including a recent strike on Mount Hermon in the occupied Golan, which damaged a long-range technical and electronic reconnaissance center. Sorry, the music was distracting me. Hurry up! First Iran, now Hezbollah has struck Israel's Mount Meron strategic air control base. Smoke is rising. Something important has been destroyed. Report of a rocket hitting Gaza Hotel and a rocket hit Barja directly. A Cornet missile landed on a military target in the vicinity of the Avivim settlement of western Galilee.